down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, welcome back to the Savvy Radio Show. This is your friend out there in the airwaves, Steve VanCauwenbergh, trying to do it, trying to go to the next level. And what is that next level? Well, right now, the only level is a mind shift. Yes, I'm telling you right now, this is game changer material coming up next. And the great thing, I did not originate this information about the drop. Now, of course, I'm going to add my own spin to it. But the reality is Jill Coleman, I guess Jill Fit, some celebrity somewhere, wrote this material, these 7 things. And I randomly came across them in my own search of trying to be the best. And right now in my life, it is chaos, crazy, life change, working on my big plans, my long-term goal, cutting stuff out. It's hard. Also, telling people no, also holding people accountable, even to myself. And I'm cutting anything off that doesn't serve me. And I mean, especially someone with my kind of internal personality. I know if you knew me personally, probably wouldn't see this. But my, internal situation is I want to serve people. And I mean, it's obvious with this podcast. This has been going on for over 5 years, maybe 6. I'm not really sure, but we're over 740 something episodes. Epic in my mind. But if it doesn't serve me, I'm out. And just before we get going, I really think someone needs to hear this today. And even if you shut this off and here in a few minutes, to get out of your valley where you're hurting, like say something, a deal didn't go through, or your spouse did something and that it affected your game, and it pushed you into a dark place. Some would say a valley, some would say a depression, whatever the case may be. But let me give you some quick tip to get you out of that Mick and Mire and real down and dirty. Set some new goals. I know it sounds easy, and I know it for a fact that it works in my own life. When I go into a valley, not unconsciously aware, but then all of a sudden a week, 3 days, maybe even a month for you, you realize you're in a place where you're not happy, and you can't get out of it. And sometimes some people use substance abuse. Some people turn to other things, or even try to find identity in something else or someone else or something else. And what I'm telling you right now, get internal. Think about it, relax, get a pen, get a paper, and write some goals down. Make it simple, like you're going to hit the gym a certain amount of time. Whatever the case may be, but I think someone out there needs to hear that today, so hopefully that was you. If that was you, you want to let me know what it was, great. I would love to connect with you. You can go to savvypodcast.com. You could hit me up there. You could text me. All is good. And let's get rolling. All right, we're talking about a mind shift today, a mindset. How do you get from the old to the new? How do you grow? How do you get to the next level? And the first question I'm going to pose to you is, why is mindset important? I think it's critical. I think it's all things important. If you have the wrong mindset, you're going to receive things wrong. You're going to make bad decisions. And eventually it's not going to serve you. It's going to go in the wrong direction. And so that's why I think this is so critical. And this is critical in my life. I'm verifying at my age where I'm going at 50. I'm moving into 51. I'm 6 months out. Man, it just sounds interesting in my mind. But do I have the right mindset to finish this race strong, to make it to the end of the line, to do the gifts and talents? And if you know me a little bit, there's something that's been there's so much that's going on in my world right now. But one of the things that really touched me as I was becoming a young entrepreneur is Andrew Carnegie, or Carnegie, depending on what side of the street you're on and how you pronounce it. But he had this quote that just changed me forever. He said he spent all his life accumulating wealth, and then at the second part of his life, he gave it all away. And we receive that with all these libraries, and just the impact that steel magnet has done, and generations and legacies. And I feel the same way. Now, I know if you really research the guy, he was pretty ruthless in some regard. But at the end of the day, I think he got to a point where What is this all about? And I think that's about mindset. What is this really all about? What are you trying to accomplish? I know some folks out there want materialistic things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you have the right mindset, anything is possible. And so let's get into it. Number one, do what you do best. Okay, don't compromise. Don't try to be all things to all people. And it's crazy because I'm realizing exactly what I'm good at. I know that I've had a lot of things going on in my lifetime. I've tried a lot of things, but you got to do what you do best. And that's kind of a difficult situation. But again, I didn't mention this earlier and I wanted to. There's going to be a lot of quotes here this afternoon, today, whenever you're listening to this morning in your morning drive or midnight and you're frustrated. And this title of this podcast motivated you. But let's start off with this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Says, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." We won't allow that to happen. You need to be yourself. You need to define who you are and what you're about. But do the best in what you do the best and not worry about what anybody else thinks or say. You got to be unapologetic authenticity. I mean, you just got to come out and do it. And I realize this book, I'm telling you, if you don't know Dan Kennedy, it's his latest book. Just type in Dan Kennedy, latest publication. It's like, if you don't offend people, you ain't doing what you should be doing. And I try to accommodate everybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I really try not to post stuff that really could be misconstrued in some form or fashion, but you really need to be who you are and to be authentic about it. Okay? If you want to be sleeved and tattooed, that's on you. Don't try to be something that you're not going to be. Live and work by your own set of core values. Like the way I live and breathe is maybe only for me. Maybe my lifestyle, maybe the way I grind it out and get up and get it done is for me, and I don't have to compare myself. I think that's the problem with social media right now. It's this constant comparing. Am I up to the level? Did I do 300 units today? I'm telling you, it's interesting being in the game for 25-something years and seeing these cats out there post this stuff. I wonder what's going to happen to them 3-4 years. They're rough right now with this interest rate. What's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years? No one can do what you do that creates your own unique brand or niche, okay? There's just one savvy out there, all right? I try to make some sort of organization, some kind of situation, coaching empire, whatever, savvy brand. It's whatever. But it's me. It's no one else can do what I do. And find validity in that. Find that that's you. You've got to look inside of what your inner authority is. What are you really, really good at? Stop competing with other people and start creating. Okay? I know I'm telling you, we just started off. We're only in this thing for a few minutes. I'm already broken. Inner authority. What's effortless for you? What can you do that only you can do that's effortless? It's natural. And I've really defined this just recently just by coaching people. And I thought it was ministry. I thought I was going to be a missionary at one time. I was a youth minister at one time. And then I thought that God gave me this awesome gifting of business. And, he slapped me this year. He's like, dude, I don't need your money. I'm the one that allows you to have it. I'm like, oh, here we go. And so the reality is I'm just embracing kind of what God has allowed me to be a part of in other people's lives. And for me at this moment, at this time, it's coaching. It's pretty powerful. Number 2, all right, this is going to hurt all these little millennials out there. It's going to hurt all the folks out there. Number 2 is take 100% responsibility, period. 100. I'm telling you, there's some things that are going in my life that someone's defaulted on me, and it's a big number. And in tune over 1 million. And I'm the one that allowed that to happen. It doesn't matter. I can give you 100% excuses of where it went wrong or it's his fault or her fault. It really doesn't matter because I'm the one that signed that document. I'm the one that takes 100% responsibility. And I'm telling you right now, you need to do that too. Here's another great quote. If you act like a victim, you're likely to be treated as one. Paulo Coelho. I can't say his last name, but You can get it. Let me say it again for you. If you act like a victim, if you act like a victim, you are likely to be treated as one. Come on. You got to take responsibility. And what does that do? It's what you do and everything you do and every transaction that you make. Even in my own business, where a staff member may make a mistake, like may jack a zero, okay, or accidentally order something. I don't know. There's hundreds of these responsibility things that completely out of my control. There's one time it popped in my head. One of my staff members sold a house that they couldn't sell, and it went through. And just the pain and anguish of hiring an attorney, renegotiating with this buyer that thought this was her house, and hey, it wasn't our house. It was in my family. But it was just interesting. I had to take responsibility for what my staff, because my staff heard, hey, we're liquidating everything. We're going to sell everything contract for deed. This is about 5 years ago. But to this day, it's still kind of painful. And the amount of money that I lost, and the several meetings I had with the attorney, and then several more meetings I had with the seller, confessing that we made a mistake and we're taking responsibility and we're willing to pay for what it takes to get it done. Are you going to be that person? Are you going to be the one that's going to take responsibility? You're $30,000 in debt, $80,000 in debt, consumer debt. Maybe it was a mistake that you made before. That's okay. Maybe it was your partner. But when I just signed a lease for a new project, $900,000 9-year lease or some crazy amount of money. No matter what I do, I'm bound to this lease. You got to have confidence in who you are, but you got to take responsibility. Your attitude is the most important thing towards this responsibility. You're going to take the responsibility. You feel me, but you got to understand it's a lesson through this process. You know, that transaction, I thought I arrived when I told my staff, hey, we're going to sell every house on contract for deed, but I didn't take responsibility. I didn't verify them. I didn't watch them. I didn't ask them. All of a sudden, they just started selling because I was lazy. Remember, your thoughts towards other people, too, are an important aspect of taking responsibility. The way you judge people, give people some grace. I see this a lot. This pops in my mind a lot. With this interacting with my son. You got to let people win. You take responsibility for your position, but ultimately that's on them. But you just let them win and have gratitude through it. And in every single situation, find yourself, am I where I want to be? And if not, am I going to take responsibility through that? Okay? Remember, taking responsibility, it's not about luck. It's not about what other people are doing, what they owe you or expectations. It's about you doing what the very best that you can do. Can you do that? And within that, can you stop blaming other people? Putting out of control expectations on somebody else? But also, at the same time, you got to have a balance there. You got to have some sort of accountability. You got to take responsibility for your attitude in every situation. Relentless positive in every situation. It's hard. I mean, I kind of work with some folks. I've interacted with some folks, and it just seems like they look at things always in a negative way, always in a pessimistic way, like, boo-hoo, it's not going to work. And I'm amazed, and it's interesting that I always thought that I come across as everything's positive and rosy, which is, you got to have a balance, but you got to take responsibility and being positive for yours. And if it can't be done, instead of saying it can't be done, how can it be? You want something, how can you go get it? You don't have a job, how could I go get a job? I don't have enough to close that transaction. Where could I borrow the money? Who could I partner with? That was something I was working with somebody the other day, and they're a wonderful wholesaler, but they only look at every situation the way they've always been looked at it. And I'm like, man, have you thought about partnering with someone? Have you thought about using a different bank, hard money, private money? I mean, I was starting right out quickly, just 9 things. I think I did a podcast on this not too long ago of like 30 ways or 20 ways to look at every transaction. It shouldn't be like, no, I can't do it because I don't have the money. It should be like, how can I do it? Because I'm gonna get it done. I want to close. I wouldn't have this interest. I wouldn't be working this hard if I couldn't do it without someone else's help. And then you got to go through this whole life not being solo. Your words literally create your own reality. So just, if this was a child listening to this thing, listen, slow down. And if you want to be a superstar, really listen to what you're saying. Maybe even write it out. But, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can. You know that quote. You've heard that before. You wouldn't be interested in personal development. You probably for sure wouldn't listen to the Savvy Landlord if you didn't think, that's me, so the Savvy Somebody, if you didn't think that I'm all about personal development. And question the status quo and other people's limiting beliefs. And usually, I guess, I don't know if it's an age thing, but I realize, when someone starts talking a certain way, I already know to shut down, and they already got limiting belief, and that's just not the person I'm going to be hanging out with. And I take responsibility of that. I want to have more friends, and I want to develop relationships like the last podcast on developing a relationship with a broker. But not every broker is on the same page that I'm on. Not every broker has a motivation like I have. Maybe their motivation is just a paycheck. Maybe their motivation is to only ride with a certain level of investors. That's okay. That's on them. But I'm going to question the status quo. Are they going to be the one that's going to work with me? And do they have the right belief system that I have that we can grow together? As I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, my second part of my life, and I feel like that's where I'm at right now. At 50-something years old, I'm on. It's over halftime. We're on the third quarter. And number 3 to this mind shift, we got a couple more rolling here, but it says, give it all away. Jim Rohn says that, give it all away. And Napoleon Hill has a great quote. It says, it's literally true that you can succeed best and the quickest by helping others succeed. Now, I live by this mantra from Zig Ziglar. He's like, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to help someone else be a millionaire. It's genuine. It's kind of selfishness in a roundabout way, but reality, sometimes I got to be patient, and I got to lay down, and I got to help somebody else. Because if I genuinely want to be where I want to be, I'm going to have to help someone get where they need to be. And we can arrive together in the level of success. All right? When you help other people, giving it away, you grow as an individual. It empowers you. It gives you the state of mind, lack versus abundance. And you really need to have an abundant mindset. And I see people clinch onto their money. Of course, when you think that that's all you have. But when I look at money, and I look at money as an abundance, it's a tool. I swear every time I have any kind of fear about money, and I let it go, it just comes back. And the more giving you are, the more that you receive. It's maybe a biblical principle for you. Maybe it's just reality. But the point is that you have to trust the process. That it's not, this is the only few dollars you're ever going to have. There's enough money. There's enough happiness. There's enough opportunity, enough deals out there. There's so many houses, so many roofers if you're a roofer, to go around. And you really just need to have the abundance mindset. It's so easy to say, VanCauwenbergh, I hear you. Abundant, let it flow on me. I'm telling you, I used to do this technique with some people. You try to close your eyes and imagine a blindfold over your head. And all of a sudden, money is raining down like dollar bills from heaven. And you're trying to grab them, but you can't see them. But you've grabbed a few because you can feel them. That's how I see opportunities. They're everywhere. We're just not trained to see them. We may have a blindfold on. It's our responsibility to take the blindfold off and train our eyes to see the opportunities. Can you do that? True fulfillment has to be about others. And I can't believe that I'm going strong on the podcast is because I'm giving it away. It's free. The content's free, and maybe someone can make a difference. I know that I go to Life Church, and we've created this app called YouVersion. It's free. It's always been free, and now we have a new version called YouVersion Lite. And it's just the amount, they just released 93 languages in all these role play with bad internet connection. And it cost, and last year we did a fundraise per se. We did an offering, and $4.3 million was given just for one small aspect of the YouVersion app that's free called the Lite version. And it's true fulfillment is about helping other people. Yes, I contributed some, And I'm just not about a pride. It's just like it really works. It really helps other people. When you think that way, you would do more, and it would reciprocate to you. Our passions and purpose are others directed. I know this new venture I'm going into right now with the restaurant, and another venture that I'm in the process of. I know the end result. I can see the end result, and it only benefits other people. In my time, in my life, I've been fortunate to be at this point. But the reality is, it's just like the great joy of being maybe able to help fund this situation or coach someone through this situation is that it will help others through that process. Find ways to give it all away. Deliver remarkable content. If you're a broker, deliver remarkable service. A letter. If you're a friend, a wife, a husband, help other remarkable whatever. Offer mentorship and internship. We talk about this a ton in previous. I would not be where I am today if I did not have a mentor in my life. And I recommend that you do the same, that you mentor someone else. And I hear guys when I try to encourage them, I don't have nothing to give. I don't. Dude, some people just need you to know that you care about them. Some people just need you to write down notes. Some people just need you to call them and say, hey, how you doing? How could I help you? And they may or may not ask for your help. But the point is, it's an opportunity for you to grow, because wherever that individual is, you've been there or you're about to get there, and you can learn from that situation and see how they handle that situation. Don't ever miss a chance to give someone a compliment. I learned this from Dave Torres, man. It's just life change. It's like, it's still ingrained in my heart. It's like, let people win. If someone says I lost 5 pounds or 2 pounds, you say, dang, you look good. You look like you lost 20 pounds. That's a win. Someone gets something under contract and you may bust. You can say, man, good work. Don't miss an opportunity to say thank you. I think it's important. I say this almost every podcast. Hey, let your boy know how to. It's not that I'm really seeking something for myself. It's beautiful. It's one of my love languages to receive. But the thing is, it kind of does more for you when you say thank you. When you put it out into the world that you're appreciative of someone else, it just makes you feel good. You just never know what ROI you're going to receive on that. I just love. I had a young mentor reach out to me. I wrote him a card of encouragement 5 years ago. I can't remember where I was 2 days ago, let alone 5 years ago. He took a picture of this card and texted me, and it almost made me cry. One, that he still has the card. Two, that it still made an impact in his life. And then 5 years later, I'm still rolling with this dude and still encouraging him because I see great things in him. And that's the thing. You just never know what you can do to impact somebody's life. It's a mind shift. So change your mind. Go out there. Never miss an opportunity to say thank you. All right, number 4, lean into the struggle. Oh, the struggle bus. I heard that the other day. I forgot about the struggle bus. Number 4, lean into it. I'm telling you right now, I'm leaning hard. Here's a proverb. It says, an African proverb says, smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. So true. If it was always easy, we would never get nothing done because we'd be sleeping this whole time. Sometimes you're going to get scathed. Sometimes you're going to get hurt. I was explaining an analogy the other day about being the Indian. And what does that mean exactly? Well, usually the Indians are the ones that first came up in here, but they're the ones that catch all the arrows. They're the ones that take all the pain, but they're the ones that have paved the way for us. It's okay to struggle. It's the other side that really matters. Can you handle it all the way to the other side? Tal Ben Shahar, can't, my skill set here with language. Learn to fail or fail to learn. Come on, bring it. That's why we're on the podcast today. Let me say that quote again. Tal Ben says, learn to fail or fail to learn. There's one way. I work at an accounting firm by day, and people, it blows my mind that you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're prolonging the pain. The information needs to get aggregated into your accounting system. Maybe QuickBooks or whatever software you're using, Buildium. But if you don't take care of this situation now, you're going to pay for it later by cleanup costs, or you're going to overpay in taxes, which you should just be a successful business person and learn to understand that on the front end. And I mean, I could have a whole laundry list of people that I wish I would have got my accounting done earlier. I mean, it doesn't take a certain point till you become a millionaire so you have an accountant. You should have an accountant the minute you think you should be in a business. If you want to be a professional, it's that time. Now, not yesterday. Again, the quote says, learn to fail, or you're going to fail in that process. Hire a team player that's going to help you. All right, now, do not get trapped in a small world. What happens is a lot of people, and so many things are popping in my head. Some people just never get out of their comfort zone. And you've got to get out of your comfort zone. I love Tony Robbins says, pain or pleasure. I mean, it's painful to wake up early. It's painful to walk up to a banker or to get rejected from the banker and says, no, your finance is not good enough. You don't have enough income, whatever the case may be. But on the other side of that process, that struggle is endless possibilities. And you have to think that way. Yoda said, named must your fear to before it banish it, you can. And of course, he was broken English like me. You know, you got to name your fear and just squash it. And then again, get to that with that mentor and how could you overcome whatever's holding you back? And usually in my mind, as I've been helping some folks lately in coaching, it just boils down to this simplistic thing. It's on education. It's uneducated. I'm talking to somebody the other day about debt management. And they just don't understand debt. And well, it boils down to education. And the only debt that they have ever experienced is the pain of their parents. And, you know, that's great. An example. Now you identified it. Now let's crush it. One thing I notice a lot in some people, and again, I don't work with these people anymore, but they have fear of failure. Look, welcome to the club, man. Everybody does. But here, listen, if you really want to be wealthy and successful, you're just going to fail a lot more than somebody else. Me, I'm not any more educated than you. I may have read a few more books. I don't have no 10 degrees. Only reason why I think I'm where I'm at today is basically I just failed a lot more. I just put the time in and screwed up again. Here we go. And I'm telling you, even today, it's still happening in my life. You also may have a fear, and these fears of failure are always going to keep you, hold you down. And some people even have a pattern of it. Like they may make a mistake somewhere and they get rejected and then they spiral down. That's why I started the whole podcast from the beginning. And I'm letting you know today, that person out there, that may have struck a chord in you. Get that pen and paper, get that goals list rolling and really put time into it. You may have fear of confrontation. If you can't do it, outsource it. Fear of disappointing others, your parents or whatever. They don't care about you. I mean, your parents may or may not, but I say this all the time and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but we do things and act a certain way because we think we're going to disappoint someone or that we're going to garner more relational kudos or whatever the case may be. I'm telling you, people are busy in their own world. They can barely maintain themselves, let alone worry about what you're going to do or what you're going to say or how you're going to post it on Facebook. Remember, it's the journey versus the destination. The destination is great, but it's the process. You know, Jim Rohn says it's who you become. You want to be the millionaire would be the destination. It's how you become as an individual, your success, the way you handle it, the failures, the processes, helping other people along the way to get to that destination. But ultimately, it's the journey. Now, listen, failures that we can ultimately succeed through those processes takes action. You got to take action. I mean, this podcast hopefully would, juice you up and you go take action. You get that pen and paper, you pull over right now and you start writing out just one goal, whatever it takes to get you to that. Now, leaning into your struggle, there's kind of two types of people out there, the perfectionist and the optimist. Okay, optimalist. Okay, listen, you got to figure out which one is you and you got to fight it. The perfectionist is a journey as a straight line. As a optimalist, someone that's in it, it's irregular. It's all over the place. The perfectionist, they have the fear of failure. The optimalist, which is kind of my side of things, is failure is feedback. I love when I read that one time. I think it was John C. Maxwell. He has a book called Failing Forward. It's like, man, when you do make a mistake, and you can call it failure, an accident, call it whatever you want to call it, a process, it's really just feedback that you're going down the wrong way and that you need to adjust, maybe maneuver. The perfectionist focuses on the destination. The optimalist focuses on journey and destination, gratitude and present, hopeful and future. The perfectionist is all in, nothing else, events. It's all or nothing thinking. And the optimalist, good enough thinking, ready, fire, aim, aim. The perfectionist, they're defensive. The optimalist is open to suggestions and feedback. This is what I see just recently. Some perfectionists, man, they're fault finders. They're looking for something. And I'm not saying that's wrong per se, but you need to kind of dial it down just a little bit. Think about what's the benefit in this situation. Yeah, something may not work. Maybe you hire the wrong person and, you see all the faults in the situation, but hey, you took a leap of faith and you won't do that again on the next time. Okay. Those two different perspectives could change your world. Are you a fault finder? Or are you a benefit finder? The perfectionists, they tend to be harsh. The optimalist, they tend to be forgiving and empathetic. The perfectionist is rigid, static. And the optimalist, they're adaptable, they're dynamic. I just think of that when I think rigid and static, I think of old websites. I think adaptable and dynamic. I think of the new JavaScript that just AI. What do you want to be known for? A perfectionist or an optimalist? Who are you going to be? All right. So when you lean into your struggle, expectations of what it should be get you into trouble. How can you not be disappointed when things don't go to plan? It's just, you got to accept the fact on the front end. I wonder when I'm really struggling with what's the difference between an entrepreneur and an operator. Okay. I've just been trained from a young age, and I don't even know if I was an entrepreneur. I probably came as an entrepreneur, not to accept a paycheck. I'm so used to not getting paid or things just not working, or I may get a paycheck, $1,000 paycheck, let's say, and I try a new venture or a new marketing technique, and I fail in that regard. And so I'm just so used to not receiving a paycheck. And then when I finally do receive a paycheck, I appreciate that. And I think that's where you have to kind of take a perspective. Now, you got to have an expectation, but you got to have an optimist expectation, or have a ratio when that $1,000 comes in. Maybe you can live off of 0.5%, 50% of it. Okay. So remember, expectations for what you should be get you into trouble. How can we not be disappointed when things don't go to plan? They never do. And so you just need to accept that on the front end. Number 5, rest-based living. James Allen says a man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul and the director of his life. Now, we talked about that earlier about being taken responsible. That's a little bit of responsibility in there. But I think that we need to really take some time and celebrate and enjoy life. Tim Ferriss says, lifestyle by design. And how to do that, start figuring out other multiple streams of income. You need to figure out ways to delegate so you can get your time back, so you can do and focus on things that you can do that can produce the best results. You cutting grass, I know we've had a lot of these podcasts. It's probably not the best use of your time. Your goal is to multiply. How can you make money while you're sleeping? I think I need to do a podcast on passive income, how to make more passive income, what industries deliver passive income. Think about it. Free up your time so that you can do what you want. Also leverage your time and guard your time. Set boundaries. I don't have my phone notify me every time someone emails me. I try to check my phone emails or my emails in general 3 times a day, not every 5 minutes. I also have this thing called non-negotiables. Okay. Now, when you are rest-based living, you can't burn out. You got to kind of pace yourself, and you got to be productivity. You got to really focus in on time management, time blocking, chunking time down. divide your day up, like, when your optimum, like, maybe you're a crap copywriter, or you work really well in the morning, and some people work really well at night. Really dial in on who you are and what you do, and block time, and then also have time to have rest time. I think when the society right now, we're struggling on activity time, social time. And I just had some homeboys just come over to the crib, and we just hung out. I'm telling you, I don't think we've ever laughed as much as we ever laughed. It was hysterical, and it was really fun. And then we just walked to the store and had a good time, and just walked and talked. You got to have this social aspect of your life. Discussions, creativity, thoughts. I do spend a lot of time on the phone. I enjoy talking to people, but really social interacted. Like go to the bar. I mean, go have coffee with someone. Even though I'm not a big fan of Starbucks, I'm willing to go there and see where it goes. And also, I'm telling you, big time, you got to exercise. And if you're in a mobile at this point in time, you got a Boke and Brack, whatever, hey, try to figure it out. Maybe walk around the block, maybe do some knee raises in your bed. I don't know. But you got to have sweat time. I noticed that for me, in my personality, in my intense kind of high achiever lifestyle, exercise sets me free. And I know when I'm slipping backwards is because I haven't really contributed enough into my exercise regimen. And get a routine in there. I think you can't go wrong with a routine. Oh, man, do I need to take a break here? I mean, we're almost done, okay? We're on number 6. Sorry, this is probably the longest podcast in a while, but here we go. Think big. Okay, I think this is critical. David Schwartz, he has a wonderful book. It's an old 80s book. It says, where success is concerned, people are not measured in inches or pounds or college degrees or family background. They are measured by the size of their thinking. What an interesting quote, right? We tend to judge people by all those other things, but are they small thinking or are they big thinking? And how do you look at thinking big? Could I ever be on the cover of a magazine? Is that possible? Could you see yourself as a multimillionaire? I'm telling you, I never thought I would. I'm telling you, my first goal and my first dream was not to live in an apartment. I'm not joking. I don't know if you know my story, but it's pretty crazy. But my reality was I lived in a one-bedroom my whole life. And my dream was just to live in my own outside, in a property where my mom did not live in the living room. And even in college, when I went to college, and I thought I arrived when I got to college because they told me the whole time that I'm never going to do anything, I'm never going to mount anything. You need to learn a trade. And I remember in 1996, isn't that crazy? 1996, when I rented with some 2 other dudes, we rented the first house, and I thought I arrived. And then that moment in 1996, that landlord, I was paying $350 a month over by the airport in Oklahoma City, if you know where that's at, on Stoltz Avenue. I remember the guy said, you can own this house. And I was like, really? And I never even had that inclination. And then a couple of years later, Rich Dad Poor Dad was laid on my coffee table, and here I am today. But you got to think bigger than that. You got to think bigger than your environment. How can you change the world? How can you make an impact? What can you do right now? It's so important to visualize. I used to do the vision board. You have the vision board, and a lot of people can, get all excited about the vision board, but with that vision board, take action. Maybe take one of those things that you want. Even I would love for you to come by my office one day. I have a vision board up, and I look at it on a regular basis. The bikes that I like to ride. Couldn't believe I achieved those goals and dreams to get there. Are you narrow-minded versus open-minded? Your thoughts determine how successful you will be. Think about that. Are you really open-minded? I'm telling you, I thought I was open-minded, and then I started hanging around other people, and I realized how narrow-minded I was. Just overly narrow-minded. There's more to life out there. I think you should travel and experience things, but be open-minded to people's opinions, even politically. Why not you? I think that's the most important thing. I think a lot of people think that they're not worthy enough. They can't do it. They came from a different background. I mean, just hang out with people that are in a wheelchair that are doing it. Hang out with people that came from another country or suppression and where they lived. What was their why? What was their drive behind it? Can you do it? Absolutely. Why not you? Thinking big, it's easier to stay small. certainty, security, and you venture off and you won't regret it, I promise. Can you learn to take risks? Absolutely. People think I'm real riskful. I don't know what a banker thinks of me, but in my mind, everything I do is calculated. I'm willing to lose this much, like on this restaurant acquisition situation. I know it's not easy. I love it when people tell me, most restaurants fail. It's awesome. And I agree, they do. And the margins in a restaurant are horrible. I agree. People steal easily food. I get you. People overpour in the bar. I got you. But here's the thing. It's a calculated risk in my mind. And here's the one thing I really, just a personal fact in my little world. For all this time, for 30 years, I've always wanted to open up a sub shop, which is even more crazier. And I was so arrogant that I thought that I knew exactly what to do. I was so arrogant that I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get to a certain point economically. I'm going to do it. It's just ignorance and dumb. I'm telling you, buying a franchise this last year and learning the process of what it takes to do this process, it's impossible in my mind that I could have ever done it by myself. Yeah, I could have probably rented a facility, a building, and ordered from a food vendor and got employees and made a sign and came up with a catchy marketing phrase, slogan, and it would have dismal results. But I'm telling you, I could tell you right now, purchasing a franchise and has been the best thing I've ever done so far. Someone already went before me, already has failed thousands and thousands of inches and ways and ideas, and I am fortunate enough to go behind them and learn from them and grow this business. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yes, you can learn to take risk. That was my ignorance before, and now later, come on. Thinking big. Don't get weighed down with the mundane. There's a big world outside, and it's on your own. Make it happen. Difference between being busy and being productive. Listen, you gotta. I see this a lot. A lot of people hide, and I coach these people. They hide because they're real busy, but then when it's important, they forget an email or they forget to do something. See, because you're too busy, you're not catching what your priorities are, and what those are. What are my revenue generating activities to grow my business and or your mistakes? If you're fooling around organizing shit, you ain't going to get it done. You've got to get out there and make sure you're being productive. And productive is production. And that production yields something. You've got to think this way. You shuffling papers or you looking at your email, is that productive? When I get on that email, I'm very specific. What am I trying to accomplish and how fast can I get it done so I can do the revenue generating activities? John C. Maxwell says this: big picture thinkers don't let the grind get to them because they don't lose sight of the all-important overview. They know that the person who forgets the ultimate is a slave to the immediate. Come on. John C. Maxwell calling it out. Big picture thinkers don't let the grind get to them because they don't lose sight of the all-important overview. They know that the person who forgets the ultimate is a slave to the immediate. It's big picture thinking. All right, now we're going to wrap this up. All right. It was good, right? Hopefully this podcast made some kind of impact in your life. Be a lifelong student. And I hope that you are, because you would be, if you made it this far in this podcast, I'm not sure how long this is, but whatever it is, Abigail Adams says, learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with attended with diligence. You've got to be intentional about your education. You got to go out there and find the content, find the philosopher that you want to grow with, find the person that's doing what you want to do and mentor under them. Cultivate a high self-worth of who you are, and so people want to be with you, and adapt someone else's credibility, whatever it takes. Maintain a slight edge. Think ahead. What's happening? Should you be reading or should you be watching TV? Jim Rohn. We're gonna have to end with this. Poor people have big TVs. Rich people have big libraries. Come on. Where's your library? Let's say it again. Jim Rohn. If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, let me be the first one to tell you. Just Google it up. Get every book you had. You can't go wrong. Poor people have big TVs. Rich people have big libraries. So let's review these 7 principles and let's shut this down. Number 1, do what you do best. Number 2, take 100% responsibility. Number 3, give it all away. Number 4, lean into your struggle. Number 5, rest-based living. Number 6, think big, baby. Number 7, be a lifelong learner. I hope this impacted you in some form or fashion. My name is Stephen VanCauwenbergh. You tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. Savvy Podcast. If you're a millennial, you call it a podcast. Us old school folks, we call it the radio show. Hey, through all this process, you become a better person. Hopefully you can go out and buy better assets so you can give more people and bless somebody else. Go out there, get it done.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.